Human Design Cosmology, and our first class free. What's your star? Your fixed star that's right for you to explore with me. When it comes to being able to look up at the stars, I don't know how many of you, if you want to raise your hand or type into the chat, how many of you can actually see something like this? Can you? Do you live out in the country like me? Can you look up at that blanket of stars? I'd be curious to know. Yeah, Naraya. I remember the first time I really saw that. And, growing up in Hawaii, it's an amazing experience. I do recommend it highly that you actually touch in with the cosmology by going outside and looking up at the stars, if you have the ability to do so. These fixed stars provide a perspective that transcends our individual experience. It puts us in touch with the greater cosmological forces, because these are the influences of our collective cosmic consciousness. And it helps us connect with the greater, wider, not our world, but beyond. So if you look up at the sky and you're familiar with watching, seeing Venus, Mars, or Mercury, or even Jupiter, did you know that sometimes you can see Saturn too? You look out there beyond this day-to-day view. Planets create dynamic cyclical changes in our charts, but our fixed star offers a stable direction. And in fact, it gives us an archetypal imprint that operates on a much larger scale. It connects us up with those with whom we incarnated with. You think about where these stars are and how we have a shared influence defining an overarching theme of our human evolution as we incarnate. Because in human design, we actually take a look at these stars from a different perspective than what you would generally see accordingly with astrology. Truly, it goes beyond something different, something new. So it's my pleasure to welcome you as, hi, I'm Laveena, 3-5 Cross of Contagion, and Educational Director for Jovian Archive, source of the Human Design System. This Rave Cosmology 7, The Nature of the Stars, is an absolutely fascinating journey. And you can listen to Ra Uruhu teach about these fixed stars on Jovian. And if you want to go to any Rave cosmologist to get a fixed star analysis, or if you're like me and you like to be self-empowered, you probably want to do it for you. And that's what this course is going to help you do. Even this class today, if you're fairly able to work a computer, you're going to be able to search by the end of this and find your own fixed star if you'd like. If you need any additional help or support, I'm joined by Naraya Fox, who actually has done a lot of self-study in this. And I'm sure you could engage with her personally, privately, arrange for some support. I'm not available. My apologies, too many things that are taking my focus at the moment. So we live in an illusion of Maya, and our Maya is built on language. There are no rules when it comes to the nine-centered human being, according to Ra. There's no such thing as a rule. There isn't. We are a mutation. We are stars. That song, We Are Stardust, do you have it singing in your head? I do now. If you don't know it, we are stardust. Such a beautiful gift to know how we are all connected. So this is Mount Shasta, where I spent the first 7 years of my deconditioning. Okay, so right down here is the Mount Shasta city. And when I went through this Rave Cosmology course personally, live with Darshana, my teacher, it was in 2017. And she came to visit me all the way from overseas. And my daughter and I sat with her outside in the summertime. We downloaded a star app. I would recommend that you do that. And we looked for our stars, because you can type in the name of a star and find where it is, and actually look up at your star. And I found that so utterly fascinating that what I did when I taught Rave cartography that year, is I added it on as a bonus because I wanted to look up everybody's stars and tell them a little bit about their star. So yeah, that was the first time I experimented with that before I became a cosmology teacher. Now, when we think about the program, because we are in it and of it, we oftentimes can project human qualities onto it. Yeah, but we are not bound by rules. You know, these synthetic types, strategy, and authority, they are guidelines. They are crutches. You are a mutation. And when you have the birth of a star or the death of a star, each one of these beings, because they are, have a perfect positioning in time and space relative to all those other places, stars, this streaming neutrino field, this information that's perfectly diversified in the cosmic construct of what it is to be alive, whatever it is that you consider to be live. When it comes to this solar system, we who are individual aspects of the human fractal family, you know, if you are like me, you know, if for truth, that we are part of a cosmic soup, this neutrino ocean that we all swim in the sea of, and that we are all bathed within, that it connects us all. You, me, everybody, connects us all. We are one thing cosmically. And yet, in our perfect divinity, our individuation in this process, Ra says, here, it's not because we were planned like this. We are stars. We are stardust. When it comes to what makes us so very special, we're looking at being stars. And in this neutrino ocean, we see that what happens as far as the breakdown of the neutrinos that bombard you, me, everybody. If this is your first time hearing about neutrinos in human design, remember it's the breath of stars. They are but the byproduct of stars energetically, cosmic interplay that forms our solution of what we get to see as far as the mix and makeup of our reality. It helps us find our imprints. And this is what contributes to the energetic blueprint of our lives, the neutrino ocean. So our sun is responsible for 70% of the conscious and unconscious activations, because this represents the central focus of our individuality. Most likely, you're pretty familiar with your sun. Do you remember your sun? Being of what you are here to be aware of. Now, that being said, 70% being the sun, fixed stars are 27%. And this is about our connection outside of the solar system. So if you look up at that sky and you wander around and you see that you are so much more than what the ego I can comprehend. It links us up to the broader cosmic cycles and our generational influences. We are born, live and die with our star brethren, you know, it is so. And then there's Jupiter, 3% of the neutrino, because it's a failed star, you see, giving us our personal law or rule on the conscious side. And on the body side, it gives us our aura, or how we expand. Jupiter, the great teacher, by Jove, why Ra called the Jovian archives what they are. He is the holder of the Akashic records, if those of you who know what that is, like to work with it. Such a beautiful gift to be a daughter or son of Jupiter. Thank you, great Zeus. Okay, so we are going to go into taking a look at you. Now, I'll use my chart as an example, so just keep yours in mind. We are a personality, and we are a design. We are not separate. We are holistic creatures, this interweaving between the background frequency field of stellar awareness, if I could call it that. When it comes to you in your nature, remember, you have a profile. Yeah, the profile, the costume in this life. Just like an actor needs a costume to play the part, Your profile gives you how you are here to express yourself, your costume that fits well, sun and earth. However, the nodes of the moon are where we play our role, okay? The nodes. What your body walks through on the design principle and what your mind sees, the personality side, okay? So seeing wherever it is that you be. The nodes determine your direction in space. They determine the path that you walk, the road that you're traveling, and who you're here to encounter and see, and how you're here to see along that path, that journey. Nodes are karmic. They are developmental. What you be is your incarnation cross. Sun, core essence, rounded into the earth, balanced into the form principle. The most important activation that you have in your design. Oh, hang on, I'm going to check my chat. Make sure that Corinda is recommending the app Cosmic Watch. Thank you, honey. I look forward to checking that out. And Pal's given us an illustration. Excellent. I look forward to checking that out too. I have seen something like that. Okay. So I was looking for my pen. Sorry, pen. Here we go. Pen. All right. The most important activation on the personality side for you to be aware of at this juncture is this sun, the 70% of the energy frequency that imprinted you when you were born, is the focus of your life's purpose, your incarnative cross, if you will, because the sun, earth on either side makes a cross in the body graph. Now, on the body side, the most important activation you have is your earth. It is what grounds you, it is what balances you, is what is the form principle. So if, everything is a balance of yang and yin, if the personality is the awareness principle of yang, the design is the being, the body is the life, earth principle of the yin here, okay? Most important things to be clear as far as your incarnative purpose, your life's work. That is not going to be the focus of our class today. It may be something new for you. If so, if it's true, I'm excited, delighted to share with you that you're going to become very familiar with your north node, okay? Your north node on the body side. The north node on the body side is where you find your fixed star. So we'll come back to that, but that's the one that you're going to look at in order to find your fixed star, if it's right for you to experiment with this and find out if it's right for you to do. Okay. So we're going to talk about lunar nodes then, nodes of the moon. This is where we see, again, our path and our place in space. Sometimes it can be people too. And an easy way to assess someone's design through the personality and design nodes is that to take a look at if those nodes are in undefined or defined centers. Now, here's Laveena pointing at hers. You can see clearly that they are undefined as far as the centers themselves, where the nodes of the moon are, okay? Nodes of the moon. That means then that this being has a direct dependence upon having the right people in her life. She's a projector after all. The right people in her life in order to fulfill her purpose, her life's work. Because where we fulfill our life's work is in the fertile soil of our developmental construct of the nodes of the moon, okay? The south nodes, the ones that look like a little horseshoe pointed down. The north nodes, the ones that are pointed up. Okay, basically, we're looking at 4 different gate activations. However, there are only 2 things here. 2 things. That's it. It's one road. It's one path. It's one place in space as we move through this illusion we call time. The expansion of time. All time truly is now. Human design teaches that the now informs the past, which affects the future. All time is now. But we who are living in this Maya construct experience it linearly. Time is not like that, truly. It's just the way that we have this capability of the cosmic dance and interplay in this soul's incarnative journey in this reality. Okay, so you're looking at another one thing. So this is one thing here and one thing here, because it's one path. Think of it like a road, if you will. You know, like in those big cities. Think about Los Angeles as an example. I remember going to a modeling, it was a magazine. There we go. It was a magazine shoot. Unfortunately for me, international magazine cover model. Thank you very much. Not going to tell you which one. Very embarrassing. But when I got there, I was on the wrong side of town. Oops. Wrong side of town. Took me another hour and a half to get to the other side of town. Same goddamn road. Yeah. Well, little Hawaii girl doesn't know what to do when it comes to those big cities. Anyway, the name of the road is something different on either side, but they are polarities. Okay? They are one thing. They are a path that you are walking or a way that you are seeing. And you, this personality being embodied, concretized in flesh and form, have your work cut out for you if you're going to see what is true. And the reason I say this is because if you are not operating in alignment, you never get to see clearly or correctly. You can't. And even if you do see yourself clearly, correctly, what happens is your mind is designed by nature to get distracted and to be distorted, unfortunately. For you and me, thankfully, we found human design and we've been able to experiment and see what's right for us to trust inside, because we cannot trust what we see outside. Not necessarily. We have to come from inside. So that's the most important thing I can tell you, inside. And then what this information may do for you is explain to you why so many things are true for you. It may not. Now, I have two people that I know that have really dove into this. One happens to be not in this class personally, but he did write a really long article that I'm going to share with you about his experience with discovering his own fixed star. And then we also have in this particular class assisting me, Naraya Fox, who has done a lot of research with the fixed stars and even has a way of sharing her discoveries with you. She's a 1-3 first color motivation, so teacher, very, very, very sharp when it comes to spotting details. And so she's going to give you some of the recognition she has about the inconsistencies of the way Ra taught this material, the fixed stars. Okay. If it's right for her, whenever it's right for her to do, however it's right for her to do. But I'm honored to have her assisting me too. Okay, so we have the nodes, these portals in space, this place with grace where we can find external information. It is not an object. One path, okay, one place we walk and how we see along that journey. Without the nodes, we wouldn't have a sense of spirituality or a connection to the higher forces or the powers that be. We wouldn't. Why? Because the nodes are karmic. This is not your first rodeo. It isn't. 64,000 incarnations. You, me, everybody. You think you got an old soul? We were all born at the same time, apparently. Now, of course, you do you, I'll do me. I'm designed to take Ra's system and transmit it to you. And I'll tell you when I find something different. It's true. I'm not here to dog on anybody's beliefs, but simply pass on the knowledge and be another messenger of the system. So now fixed stars, these astronomical objects that appear not to move relative to each other in the night sky, compared to our foreground of the solar system objects that we can see. Fixed, quote unquote, fixed stars is kind of a misnomer because it's generally taken to include all stars other than the sun. So that includes the nebulae, other deep sky objects, also can be counted among the fixed star. Sometimes we who are so tiny on our little planet, we take our telescopes either on the planet or, outside of it and point and shoot. Can we see? As in take a snapshot, screenshot, picture. There we go. Can we see the star beyond you and me? And sometimes we call it a star and we get closer and we see it's actually a group of three, So fixed star, sometimes you'll find your star might be a binary. It might be a triplicate. I don't know if there's anything beyond that. I can't remember, but the exact delimitation of the term is complicated by the fact that there are no celestial objects that are actually fixed with respect to each other. It just seems to be that they're fixed. So what Naraya has done is given us she'll be able to share with you the directions on how to calculate, because you have to assess for the movement. Laveena, with her brain the way that it is, by nature, math is not my forte. Also having some brain fog issues with the illnesses that I'm putting at bay. There is definitely going to need to be some help from her that I'm going to pull into, just letting you know, okay? Nonetheless, these extra cellular objects, because if you think about our solar system as a cell, these extrasolar objects, they move so slowly in the sky that the change in their relative positions are nearly imperceptible to our typical human time scale. Okay, so upon careful examination over large swaths of times, absolutely, we can see that they move. But for us, in our finite little human lives, we call it fixed, just to keep it simple. Like, as an example, if you look out at really distant stars and galaxies, they move much more slowly comparatively to any close ones. And so you see the neutrinos that imprint us come from the sun, 70%, Jupiter, 3%, and then the outside of the solar matrix, 27%. Okay, 27% of that star feed. And it comes through. Where does that portal come through? The nodes. The nodes are our window. Think of the nodes like windows. Okay, the north node, it's your driving down the highway. It's your window that you're looking out in front of the windshield. Okay, you're driving down the road. It's the windshield, north node. South node, you're looking in your rear view mirrors to see where you came from. Okay. The stellar background field that we live in affects us, these neutrinos that imprint us. So the neutrinos are a star product, and each of these stars have stories. I have linked for you in our course area the book that I have and recommend, although actually she just republished it last year, so I have the old version. It's Bernadette Brady's Book of Fixed Stars, big book. Okay, I will be referring to that. And of course, Ra says to go and research. You can look on the internet, you can get a book. He did not give you all the information on all the fixed stars. That would take too long. He did give us certain stars that have stories, and each of us have a deep connection to our part of the spiritual and mystical lore that builds our reality, whatever your belief system happens to be. Ra likes to call these neutrinos the breath of stars, to put it poetically. This neutrino beam stream ocean that we live in, this full data stream that sources us into the heavens, the consciousness field. You and me, everybody, are all filters of this consciousness data stream. Okay, it's all about awareness. The neutrinos consciousness field is filtered through our design, our human design, and then we can become aware of what is there or not. Awareness is the whole movie when it comes to what we are doing here with human design. Awareness is what happens when we juxtapose the neutrino ocean, the consciousness data stream, the field, with our own design, the quantum of our design in connection up with the totality of existence. It's penetrating you, me, everybody, all the time, constantly. You are a program. Looking at the program, from within this program, there is a greater program that controls you, me, everybody. And most of us are not aware. When you are aware that you are beyond compare, when you cease to compare your reality to anybody else's, when you see the perfection in your divinity, you are awake as Buddha. When you love yourself completely, unconditionally, and in full totality, the entirety of existence, the allowance of you and me, everybody, to be what it is that you came here to be. Because I can only be what I am here to be, just as you are, only here to be what you are here to be. And in our awareness, can we see? Truly, it's all about seeing. As Rob would say, seeing, seeing, seeing. Is it how you are being? Or are you trying to meddle still? When I say you, I'm speaking to the I inside, the mind that lies, the I that thinks, therefore it thinks it is. This I inside your mind that you believe to be the totality, it isn't. It isn't. So we are going to go into your fixed star. I just want to remind you that when I say you, I'm talking to the being who is listening. But there is a greater you that doesn't speak and is simply aware. The passenger, witness consciousness, that being that you came here to see with these little mundane lives that can be so dramatic and atrocious in their pain and suffering. According to Ra, he would say, only the not self suffers. Is it true? Some of the things that we have in our system, depends on who you listen to. Some of these things in our system may or may not be true. You are your own authority. I trust you to be. I'm not going to argue with you about what you find to be true. Just passing on the message. When you look at your body graph, the openness in your design, these are places and spaces where your mind is lodged, as in your mind that thinks, therefore it thinks it is, speaks with I here. When in fact, this is where we come up against the we, as in this is where we are being broadcast to in this sea of neutrino ocean. Of course, it can affect our definition, obviously, if you study deeply into the system. But in the openness is where we have wisdom potential about what is out there, be it cosmic or be it human. In truth, there is no separation once you get to see how beautiful this reality happens to be. Okay. I know this Laveena show has been waxing poetically. Apologies, can't fix that. Oh well, what to do. We're going to go into how to find your fixed star. So I'll attempt to ground the energy and make it more practical for you. I'm going to use my chart as an example. Again, remember, it's your unconscious north node in your human design. This is related to your design link node. It's called a link node because it links, it's the only place that does so. It links your body to your mind. Remember how we were saying that the horseshoe that's pointed downwards is the south node? Okay, here's the north node. It's pointed upwards. These are your link nodes, okay? Your link nodes. This is the only place where your body is linked up to your mind through the advent of the nodes, this link node. So the link nodes, they cannot hold you to you if you are not operating in alignment with what you came here to do. Unfortunately, sad but true. So you get a skewed perspective and you don't get to find your path and purpose. Not truly, not really. You live the sad shadow of this not self-reality. And unfortunately, most of humanity happens to be in frustration, anger, bitterness, disappointment. And it is the thing that is so sad to see, truly. If you can get beyond that and poke your head through the sky and disbelieve the ego eye and come to rest in that space of grace of seeing the witness consciousness just simply being, you will know what it feels like to truly be alive and satisfied or successful, peaceful, surprised, what have you, whatever it is that you came here to do. It's such a beautiful gift to see that clearly. And although I may not speak from that space of knowing always, the fact that it is even possible is such an incredible gift. And so we take a look at your Maya mechanics or my body graph or whatever it happens to be, software that you use. I, of course, representing Jovian Archive, use Maya mechanics. And so there's a free trial if you haven't used it yet to find your exact position of your design north node. You see, you're going to have to open your chart and open up the far right info panel towards the bottom right. It's going to be your design data. And you're going to see that there's planetary information. What, of course, these are not planets, they're portals, they're places and spaces, but we still have an imprint calculation. So you're going to need to uncollapse the panel to find the data. You're going to see some numbers, write those down exactly to find your design north node. Okay, go ahead and do that now. If you can find that in your software. If you're having trouble, then yeah, maybe we can help you staying behind if there's energy and time. Now, you're going to go and Google or whatever software you want to use to search. Maybe you're going to use ChatGPT. Now, I don't oftentimes Google anymore. I just like ChatGPT or Grok on X. That's fun too. So you're going to look for a fixed stars catalog. Okay, anyone will do, but find the longitude and compare the fixed stars catalog data. So finding that star, if you will, that's closest to the data you have found in your north node design position. So whatever the closest data is, maybe it's a degree, maybe it's exact, maybe it's 5 degrees, maybe it's 10 degrees, find the closest star. That's what you're going to do. So I'm doing this slowly in case you're like me and of course in classes can't sit still, got to go do that thing. Got to go look it up for myself. Anybody else looking it up? Yeah, to find your fixed star. Because you're going to do this research. I'm not going to tell you what it means. You're going to be able to look it up, Brady's big book of fixed stars or whatever you want to do to find the information about your fixed star. Okay. Take into account whatever descriptions are written. Sometimes they'll tell you, oh, it has the likeness of, I think Astrology King was one of those that I looked up. Astrology King, if you came across that website, he has a lot of writing and blogs there. It'll tell different planets that it has a kind of likeness to. So those of us studying astrology or human design too, obviously, we know the feeling or flavors of what these planets will do, you know? So you might too have a planet right nearby. And what is that going to tell you? Now, in human design, Ra Uru Hu has these 66 stars, these sides, these archetypes. That's one of the things we'll explore in our particular course. For me, you can see Alheka is where my particular closest large star that had some data on it that I could learn about. Darshana helped me with this because Laveena's feeble brain could not figure it out herself. It's a 2.2 magnitude star in the northern crown of Corona Borealis. This constellation is a brilliant white binary star, so it's actually 2 at the base of the crown. So mythically, it is something that has a lot of different, depending on where you find, you know, the mythology comes from, a lot of different meanings. So it's a present from Dionysus worn by Ariadne. And also the Native Americans referred to it as the Camp Circle, that their celestial ancestors were there up in the heavens. And in Celtic lore, it was the castle of the Silver Circle, home to a lady, Arian Rod. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but anyway, when we take a look at where in the sky this particular place happens to be, it's close to the serpents, constellation Serpens. It's right above the head of the serpent itself. And then we can see Hercules and Butes flanking either side. So we can see then where we came from, even though it's a north node, it's the path we're walking home towards. It is part of where we came from, as in, this is the thing that we're getting home to. So it's this particular constellation of mine happens to be that it's 12 degrees of the sign of Scorpio, in the sign of Scorpio. And it contains these two named fixed stars. Now, technically, I'm actually closer to Nasakan, but I couldn't find anything there. I'm giving you my example because I want you to see, if you go look and you go like find a star and there's nothing written on it, okay, what about the constellation? Or what about the closest star? What can it tell you about things about you that you were wondering? Lots of things it told me, as far as this particular star is said to give an artistic ability, love of flowers, and it brings its natives to a position of command. Well, I don't know about command, but there's definitely leadership here. Of course, you have to take it into consideration that you are a holistic being. You are not just that fixed star, but it may tell you something about you, as far as some stories, some abilities that maybe was right for you, is right for you to take in and process and be aware of. We are each of us, accordingly to Ra Urufu, as you know, founder of the human design system, each of us have our own mythology. And we have all kinds of things. We're a quantum, not just little parts and pieces. Yeah, we have to take it into big picture view, the construct of what it is that we came here to do, accordingly with our design. But also, too, it's known for conveying honor and dignity. I quite like that because my unconscious sun is an innate dignity. So it also says that this is the absolute highest spiritual vessel and totally spiritual. It can be used in negative, selfish ways. We can use our spiritual power for the good in the positive way, not just selfish. But used in a positive way, we can simply walk around a group of people and tell each other, each and every one, exactly what they wish to know. And this was my dream for so long. As soon as I became aware that that could be a possibility. Okay, so wanting to simply, I remember the first time I sat in one of those psychic fairs and put my hand on somebody, because it was with the practice thing that we were supposed to do, and just kind of went into whatever it was I was supposed to tell them. And she was shocked, you know. And it is so pleasing to be able to use the human design system as a tool or a technique to enhance this capability, as far as cosmically what I came here to walk this path and be and do as an advisor, as a guide of beings. So how to find, yes, there will be a recording available. How you find it in Maya Mechanics is you simply go and take a look. I'm just finding the place in space. Okay, come here, you. There. Okay, so you're going to go into Maya Mechanics. You're going to look into your body graph, find the activations, see activations over here. Okay, you're going to look for your north node, click on it. Open up the panel and you'll find it over there on the right-hand side. And then all you have to do is go search. You don't have to have a book if you don't want to. Of course, I do recommend Bernadette Brady. She is amazing, this lady. She is really incredible. I can't even imagine what it must be like to be her with her brain. But you'll find these things for you. Okay, so that you know what is true. Use your authority. As you can see with me, it's line 2, shaking hands with the devil. In other words, we're learning about distasteful alliance here. The transitoriness of power and influence. Remember how I was telling you about the north node being what you're walking towards, where you fulfill your purpose. In my early years of my life, I had a karmic relationship with a man who had this exactly as his sun Earth when I was in my early 20s. And as I approached my 40s, he died and he left me quite a large inheritance that allowed me to invest a lot in my human design education and also buy a home. And as this is who I be, fulfilling my purpose with people, literally, I was able to guide that man in his years. He was about, I think, 9 or 10 years older than me, maybe 7, 8, 9, something like that. And I helped him change careers because he was wanting to actually move from being a boat captain to a firefighter. And he became a fire captain before he died. So it's showing that this is literally people, because remember I was saying they're one thing because it's our oppositions in the wheel. Well, if you look around at sun Earths, you know that they're oppositions too. Absolutely. Isn't it true? Go ahead and look. The sun and Earth, they are exactly oppositions in the wheel. And that means then that the hexagrams are mirrors to each other. Okay, they are mirrors to each other. Same thing is happening here with the nodes. So you can see karmic relationships between you and another. Listen close. If it is exactly the same gate and line that they have in their design, in their sun Earth, it does not matter which side of the body graph you are connecting up with. But if they're there in your life, and if it's right for you, I'm not saying, hey, you've got a karma with that person, better make sure that they're in your life. No, don't chase. Operate in alignment with your authority. But you'll see. This man, to me, he felt like home. He felt so familiar. I can still remember the first day I met him. And I can remember the tangled emotionality because he happened to be somebody that I got romantically engaged with. Okay. So to find the information, you're going to go look. I can see, oh, look at that. How lovely. Somebody's sending me. Beautiful. Activations, pointing, yes. Design, click the design. Scroll down to find the north node. That's exactly how to do it. Thank you. ST, whoever that be. That's wonderful. It's very, very nice to see. You see, that's where you find it. You look to the design, scroll down to the north node. The north node will look like this. It'll say design north node. It's your body side, the north node. Find the calculation. Go calculate that into Google or whatever search engine. Yeah, make sure you're using activations. Okay, activations. It's the planet activations. If you can't find your north node, it's not a planet, it's a portal, but nonetheless. Okay, so you can see another thing that we know about the 28 as far as what it's here for. It's about purpose, finding life's meaning and purpose. It's the love of purpose, the love gate, besides the preponderance of the gate of the game player, learning about distasteful alliance here with the line 2. So we're looking at not only people we fulfill our purpose with, but also what links us cosmically in this reality to our personality. You see? Because these are the link nodes. They link your mind with your body. And how they do that truly is through gate 2. Okay, gate 2, the magnetic monopole holds me to me, you to you. Otherwise, we'd just be, disincarnate. We wouldn't be here now in this being, body, principle, form. You have a gate 2, a monopole. It's either open, as in no planet, or it's fixed. You got a planet there. Either way, our monopoles work. They do. But they can't hold the frequency true if we're not operating in alignment. And then you're not seeing things clearly. And then you're not aware truly. Unfortunately, what to do. It is what it is. Okay, so the fulfillment, finding a love, a meaning, a life that's worth living. Oh, I think Romeo and Juliet with this love gate, the 28. The love gate, it is about the love of the game, playing the game. I love playing the game. Now here, it's that romantic game of having purpose. Without you, life has no purpose, you know? Without you, I have no meaning. It's an interesting thing to be born a basic split like me. Whereas my mind is part of the purpose fulfillment, because this is where I happen to be, in the quarter of the wheel that is about mentality, initiation, purpose fulfilled through mind. Whereas over here, it's about the body, the relational dynamic, the duality. Yeah, you plus me, duality. Okay. So this is where the purpose is being fulfilled now, because I've reached beyond my Uranus opposition. Uranus opposition, for those of you who are new, you are looking at the half-life marker of a human creature, okay? Where we move from the south node physically into the realm of the north node. So approximately it's around 38 to 44 years of age. If you're like me, Laveena's a late bloomer. For me, it happened a couple of years ago. It took me a while to get to maturity. As in, yeah, the end of childhood is 30, and yet truly to develop one's full archetypal purpose fulfillment, how to plant one's cross at 50 and beyond, we start developing that capability at our Uranus opposition, 38 to 44. For me, it was 44. Okay, and that's where I moved here. And this is where I moved, as in there's more emphasis of this area, this neck of the woods. Remember earlier on, if you were here, I pointed out how this particular body graph, you can see they are in undefined centers as far as the nodes of the moon. So when you see that, this means then that the being has the potential for the spirit to be broken. What does that mean? The spirit of a being as a personality who is this kind of design, I happen to be success. That's my spirit, because I'm a projector. If you are a manifester, your spirit is peace. If you are a generator, your spirit is satisfaction. If you're a reflector, your spirit is surprise. So, because the spirit can be broken, when the nodes are in undefined centers, and it has to be all four, please. Okay, all four. It means it's easy for the spirit to be broken in this being. Why? Because this being was born to have a kind of, not codependency, although we have lots of potential for that here, but a dependency on the right people in their life in order to fulfill their life's work. Okay? So anybody else, raise your hand if you have all four nodes in an undefined center. I'm not talking about all three or two or just one. I'm talking all four. Anybody else? Four in an undefined center. Or am I the only lonely? Oh, here, Pamela, of course, honey. Hi, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, so that means then what happens? Can the spirit be broken? Yes, okay, check that box. And what it literally physically means is that life tends to have a meltdown and then it builds back up again, as in you lose everything and you have to start over again. I have cycles, cycles of that happening. It is what it is, what to do. Oh, well, it's true. And so just to find little pieces like this, it's not a reason for, oh, poor me. Although Laveena in her first early years of design took any excuse to go, oh, that's what's wrong with me. Don't do that. Don't make my mistake. There's nothing wrong with you, okay? It's all perfect and beautiful. And in retrospect, when we look back at our lives, we will see the beauty, the magnificence of the learning and the development. We will, if you can stick with it. It's difficult, I know, to do this work for yourself personally and even professionally, but it's so worth it. It is worth it. Even though there's no guarantee of victory, it is worth taking the risk. This is the great game player, the risk taker. This is what you get from Laveena. Calculated risks, as long as it's right for me to advise you. Okay. So you have now learned how to find your fixed star. Ra says, choiceless we are. Most beings really think that at some level we are in charge, and we're not. That at some level we're responsible for the level of consciousness. No, we're not. That we are somehow responsible for cultures. We're not. Choiceless we are. That sounded like Yoda. Choiceless we are that, yes. It is quite something. I find this positioning to be almost exhilarating because it's really the key in understanding how something so basic in learning this knowledge, beginning to understand that it's a program, that you operate within a program. At every level, you are controlled. At every level, there are control mechanisms. And yet, not grasping that this vast cycle that we call a global cycle, this is the master control program. In fact, there are greater programs beyond it, but they're certainly not personalized to our solar system. This is the great control program for here, and it's coming to an end. It's quite something. Something to see that's coming to an end. Thank you, Ra. He says that's why human design is important. Not about all the things about, yes, we can understand, there's all this stuff. He won't get into all that, but what's important is the training. You're equipped to live in a world now where there is no global planning as a background, because you have a place where you can find your own authority. You have to understand that what we have is an era in which authority has been taken away and has been institutionalized. You all know that if you studied global cycles. All the authorities we deal with in the modern life have been institutionalized. Governments, laws, police, on and on and on. Everything's been institutionalized. Education. It's all been maintained through institutions, and they control life on the planet. Soon, no longer. That's why human design is so important. Now, strategy and authority is one of those things to align to. Your nodes of the moon. See the stars beyond this solar system. Align your life to the filtering of the consciousness data stream. To be aware, to have the integrity of being your own authority. These star families that we all belong to. Do you love this knowledge like I do? For me, it has set me free from the mundane drama of worrying about this or that, to be able to be one's heretical self truly, unabashedly, unapologetically, so long as it's right for me. It's freeing. It's freeing to be the rebelliousness of what it is to take a stand and demand nothing less than being my own authority. If it's right for you to be yourself too, remember there's nothing to do. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to be except your own authority. See yourself truly. Poke your head through the sky and see, so that you can experience the magic, the wonderment, the awe, the success, satisfaction, peace, surprise, whatever joy it is that you breathe that is alive from the vitality that is inside. There is a relaxation that Ra promises you. Our gift to you, if it's right for you too, to experiment. It's not really ours, it's yours, but we are one thing, part of the human cellular matrix, you see. All of this is not in our control, although we live in an illusion of choice. The control mechanisms are not the bad guys. They are simply playing their program too. And when you can let go of whatever it is that you think that they did to you, you know, this being body principle, the mind in its subjective nature of what my mind thinks, my not self mind thinks is blame, as in they did this to me, you know, shame on them or shame on me. But when you can get out of that trauma drama and let go and forgive, it opens up the doorway to the allowance of simply being. And you're hearing from somebody who is resigned to see things as they are, to just, it is what it is, be what it is. There is no fight here. It is simply being and allowing. That live and let live thing, that's truly what it happens to be. So when we get these little cracks, you know, to poke your head through the sky and disbelieve the ego I, or disengage with the not self mind, you get to peek. You get to see the beauty, the wonderment. There are those of us who are uncontrollable, okay? Because three, not just the rebellious five, but the three bonds made and broken. And as heretics, you get from me, you get from Ra, you get the encouragement to break the covenant with the program. Do not bow down. Do not give authority to anything, to anyone, to any God, to anything outside of you, because you are here to live in your own divinity, to live in the Neutrino ocean of the sea of reality. When I close my eyes, I can see the sky, the stars spinning, you know, like as if it was doing the time-lapse photography. And oftentimes I speak to you from this place of, you could call it channeling, I guess, but it's just a different state of awareness where there's all this energy coursing, flowing through me. And if it's right for you to take the gifts I have to give, I look forward to continuing on in this journey so that you can walk through the Maya with eyes wide open and see that even though life is about this sea of never-ending, seemingly, choices, that if you make your decisions clearly, accordingly to your genetic potential, you are much more open than you are fixed, even if you have tons of definition, because you are looking at, it seems to be a flat piece of paper, digits on a screen, but it's not. It's a multi-dimensional creature you are. And we are conditioned by, attracted to what is not you. And that openness, or that it is a vulnerability. It's the greatest place of vulnerability, your openness. Mine happens to be the Ajna center, totally open, white, no fixing. That means then that in this life, it's the PhD life for this stream of conceptual awareness. It is not consistent, it is not fixed, but it is pointed towards truth. What I find so engaging about these classes is to see what is true for you. And what I would like to do is ask you, if it's right for you to continue, to create your own homework assignment, you could call it, but your own report, video, whatever is in your creative font of awareness. Maybe you make a collage, I don't care. But on your stars that are there, not just this fixed star that we're going to explore, but there are so many other stars. Which ones affect you? Which ones actually conjunct with aspects in your design? What planets? You know, what life aspects, planetary teachers do you have pointing at your own truth? And what is it like for you? I could go on and on about my life and story, but I've already written an article. I'll probably point to it, telling about the man who I mated with for a moment, and then we went our separate ways. And yet, 20 years later, he came into my life again, leaving me something that changed my life distinctly and fully forever. And we are each like that for each other. Even if it's just a little, voice in the wilderness of, here's my fixed star and here's what I've experienced. I want to have that engagement with you. I don't have a lot of energy to do one-on-ones anymore, but if you'd like to use this space to share, this is where I'd like to hear. Because Ra gave us the mythology, this mechanical basis in his teachings. And if you look into it, I would love to hear what your experience happens to be when it comes to your fixed star. Okay.